My name is Helen Perris and I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been doing the singer-songwriter thing for about 3 years and started off small, and I've been gradually growing my fan base through various forms of social media and through gigs as well. I've been playing music for as long as I can remember. When I was 18 months old, I used to climb up on tables and perform for families at gatherings. Then I just have always enjoyed performing. I learnt piano as a child. I started learning violin, I did competitions, I danced, I learnt to sing, and I started teaching. My success is down to preparation meets opportunity. I was very lucky to be able to perform in front of Amanda Palmer, and at that gig, somebody who was a promoter was there, and they noticed me and asked me to support another artist that was coming out and doing a tour. Things kind of snowballed from there.
He climbs the highest peak. He sings so very loud. He's resolute and faithful, and asks me if I'm proud.
Since then, I've released 2 EPs and I'm starting to work on an album. Lots of people were interested in my music, so I thought, okay, I should probably start really taking this seriously. So I set up some social media accounts and started promoting my work. It's really important to have a strong web presence to engage with your fans on lots of different levels. So, for example, you might use one channel just to broadcast news, but other channels to engage with your fans. And this means that you're able to promote your material without coming across as pushy. I use Facebook a lot as well, both my own personal page to promote to my friends, but I've got a page specifically for my music, and that has fans from all over the world. In the early days of my gigs, I used to plug my Facebook page every gig, and through that I actually got quite a few more fans. I started off really small. I remember just by inviting all of my Facebook friends to the page, I started off with maybe about 50 fans. I've since grown that to close to 500. With Facebook, I've got a Facebook page for my music studio as well as my website. They do work very differently. I've found, because Facebook is so universal, it can be really difficult to target local fans. So what I've been doing is I've found a lot of local community groups on Facebook. I'm in Western Sydney, so I might go on, say, the Activities for Kids in Western Sydney group, and for example, they might have a specific time on a Friday afternoon where local businesses can post a link to their Facebook page in that group. So I would make sure I knew when all of those times were, and then set up a post to go in onto that group at that time. I use Twitter a lot. You could say I'm a Twitter addict. I'm on Twitter every day. I think I've got about 1,300 people that follow me on Twitter, and they're from all over the world as well. I'm on Twitter every day, updating, talking about what I do with my music, but also talking about everyday things so that people can see that, yeah, I'm a real person. I use my social media channels really differently from each other. On Facebook, for example, on my music page, it's really focused. It's just about me, the musician. I don't post very regularly, but when I do, it's about things that I'm doing as a musician. Gigs coming up or songs that I'm writing, things like that. On my Twitter, however, it's about me, the whole person. So I post about my music, my acting, my kids, my teaching. I post about successes that I've had with students and things, although I don't mention names. I also post about what I've had for dinner and when I've got a headache. So they're getting a sense of the whole person on Twitter. And I find that engaging with other people about their lives as well makes them more interested in what I'm doing. So with my music studio, I actually use YouTube quite a bit. With my students' permission, I film them playing well, and put the clips up on YouTube. I make sure that I crop out their faces and I only use their first name so that they can't be identified. I find that that works really well. So the students can show their friends things that they've done. So it helps to build a bit of word of mouth as well. There are specific music-based social media sites, things like SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, YouTube obviously is not music specific, but it's really useful for musicians. And there's a service, it's an app as well called YouNow that allows you to live stream, which is pretty new in Australia, but it seems to be pretty interesting, and a lot of musicians are using that as well. I find SoundCloud is quite useful for getting feedback on your new tunes. You can put demos up there and you can specifically say, look, this is a demo, tweet it out to your fans or put it in your newsletter and invite them to have a listen and to comment on what you've got up there. You can also put completed tracks up there, obviously, and you can choose whether people can download them or not download them. If you have a pro account with SoundCloud, then you can actually set some tracks as secret, and people can download them if they provide you with their email address, which is really useful for getting contact details of people that are interested in your music. If you're an independent artist like me, then to get your music onto iTunes and all of the streaming services, you have to use a third party like CD Baby or TuneCore. I personally use TuneCore. You can get all of your music onto Spotify or Rdio or Deezer, Mog, Amazon Music, 7 Digital Music, even JB Hi-Fi now has a digital service, and TuneCore can get your music onto there. TuneCore is also partnered with Radio Airplay, which creates Django Radio. So for people who just want to listen to something in the style of something else in particular, then you can get your music onto Django Radio. You get 10 free plays every week. And for me, I could say that my music is similar to Sia or to Sarah Bareilles. And people listening to Sarah Bareilles or Sia might get to hear my music in the middle of that playlist. I find Bandcamp is really, really useful for me as a musician. It's a fantastic service that helps people discover new artists. Artists can recommend other artists, but also it works as e-commerce. I don't have to worry about setting up a cart on my own website. I can just directly link to Bandcamp, to my Bandcamp page, and people can stream my music and then download it. Some of it is up there for free, but some of it they have to pay for, and they can order CDs and other merch as well at the same time. Social media has been incredibly useful for me, and it's incredibly useful for everyone if they know how to use it correctly and appropriately. The only way that you're going to figure out how to use it correctly and appropriately for you is by experimenting. The only way I figured out how to differentiate my channels was by using them. So don't be afraid just to get out there and give it a go. I took a long time to settle into each channel. I had a bit of a play around, worked out how I wanted to use it and how it was going to best work for me. So you just need to do the same kind of thing. I've been really lucky so far that I haven't had much of the trolls or the haters affecting me. There's been a few inappropriate comments here and there. The block button is really useful. What I have found though is that even when things do go wrong, and during my last crowdfunding campaign, one of the CDs got lost in the mail. You just have to be professional about it, man up or woman up, and send out a new one, because in the end, it's worth so much more to get that person feeling good about how you treated them than the monetary cost. Crowdfunding has been a really integral part of my business strategy. I've used crowdfunding for both of my EPs, and I've found that not only did it help me to make the EPs even happen, it helped to build my fan base as well. There are quite a few different crowdfunding platforms available. Kickstarter is the big one. Pozible is one that started in Australia, and it's very big amongst Australians. Kickstarter's now also in Australia. And there's also Indiegogo and Pledge Music and lots of other small, newer startups that have been happening around the place. I personally use Pozible, but that's just because it seems to be the best option for me. A lot of people think that when you do a crowdfunding campaign, you set it up and you can just sit there and watch it grow. That is so not the case. When you are crowdfunding, you need to be constantly promoting it. You need to be telling people that you are raising money for whatever your project is. In my case, it was to make an EP. And then you need to be reminding people to actually go to the site, watch your video. You need to have a really good video. And hopefully, if they like what they see, then they will pledge to support your campaign. Well, I have actually used Facebook advertising once, but it didn't really work for me. What has worked, however, was doing a competition on my Facebook page with a t-shirt giveaway as prizes. And I also did a Christmas single, put it up for free as a download on Bandcamp, and tweeted about it and put it up on Facebook, put it out there on my newsletter, and a lot of people downloaded it, and that was a way of getting their contact details as well for my newsletter. If you don't promote it enough to your own fans, then they won't feel invested enough to promote it to their friends. So that's the only way that you can make it go viral, in a sense. So you have to get out there, you have to tweet about it, you have to put it on Facebook, you need to put it in your newsletter, put it everywhere, put it on your website, link to it, use a widget to link to it on your website. Let your fans know that you need their support, that you want them to tell their friends about it, that you need them rather, to help you make the whole thing happen. Now, if I was to give you one more piece of advice, one final piece of advice, I would say, get over yourself. Don't stress about putting yourself out there or worrying about, oh, am I promoting myself too much? Or maybe I don't really believe in what I'm doing and maybe other people won't like it. Just get over it. They will enjoy what you're putting out there. They will be interested as long as you have the conviction and the belief in yourself.